Today is a Grief Beyond Death episode. What does that mean? This is where we bring in someone from the community to showcase their talents, their programs, and their services. And they also walk us through the type of grief they have dealt with in their life, as well as grief they've dealt with in their purpose and passion, right? So, it's also an opportunity for our community leaders to give themselves flowers. Yes, we deal with grief, but we also want to heal through that grief. So, Grief Beyond Death is a simple way for our audience to see that everybody deals with grief, but at the same time, we can still heal and celebrate our wins. I hope you enjoy this episode. All right, welcome to episode 106. Happy Monday. We are in a Grief Beyond Death episode. We haven't done one of these episodes in a long time, so I'm super excited to bring on our first guest. And I'm even more excited because it is my god brother. So, everybody, I would like to introduce you to Anthony. Hi, Anthony.
How's everything? I'm glad to be here.
Hey, so in today's episode, like I said, it's 106. Today's topic is Everyone Has a Love Story, which is the title of my book, which by this point it should be on Amazon or you can purchase it from my website. Um, you can definitely purchase it to my website. I think on my website it's still done as pre-orders, but nevertheless, wherever you order it, it will come to you. So since it's Love Month, I wanted to talk about Everyone Has a Love Story because Anthony helped me to edit and publish the book. And so throughout the month of February, we are going to break up Everyone Has a Love Story, probably bring a couple more guests, talk about love, go on this journey that I was on when I was writing this book. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our icebreaker. All right, welcome to episode 106 Icebreaker. All right, Anthony. So you're new to the show. This is your first time on the show. So today I have two decks of cards. I have the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, which I know you are very familiar with this author. So and then we have the Fifth Agreement, which is also by Don Miguel Ruiz, and I think it's his son, Don Jose Ruiz, and Janet Mills. I don't know who Janet Mills is, but she an author on the cards. So tell us how you know about Don Ruiz, because we read Don a lot over here.
I got introduced. Honestly, my first company I got with my brother PJ and my protege Manny. We just decided, and that's one of the books in Barnes and Nobles that it just happened to be there, caught our attention. Then from there, I just kept up with the author. Very insightful information. If you want to read one book, you could read the Four Agreements, and that could be the only book that could actually take you steps into the right direction.
Yeah.
How about yourself, you guys?
Yeah, so I read the Four Agreements, I think 2 years ago, and then I love collecting cards, and so I realized that he had cards to go with his books. Fun fact about Don Ruiz, I'm pretty sure last year he released a book about grief, so I have to get that. For me, reading these books helped me to kind of shift my perspective on how I was viewing life, how I was viewing growth and healing. So it helped me to do that. And then with picking the cards, like if I ever need like a quick pick me up, I have that. So yeah, and I've read a lot of Don's books actually. Like, well, I listen to them on audio. So I've probably have like 10 books from him that I've actually listened to. And so just how he speaks, very concise, straight to the point. He speaks in layman's terms. So yeah. Yeah. All right. So I have the Four Agreements deck. You are gonna tell me to split it up and tell me what type of card to pick. I'll read the card and you'll tell me if it resonates with you, why or why not. And so we have two decks of cards. We have the Four Agreements and we have the Fifth Agreement. Whenever you're ready, you let me know.
Let's go. You could split it in three
Okay. All right. It's split into three.
and grab the middle and grab card number two.
All right. So one, two. Don't make assumptions. Discern the truth. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. We make an assumption, we misunderstand, we take it personally, then we react by sending emotional poison with our word. This creates a whole big drama for nothing.
So do you relate with that, and do you incorporate that into your life?
It well, the question is, does it resonate with you? Why or why not?
Or for me,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So when you make an exception, you tend to change your reality and your perspective on things. In that very moment, you are assuming something that's not true, and you don't know it's true. So
Mm-hmm.
with that, I incorporate that in my life because I say, you know what, I'm trying to control something I can't control, and I'm just making more drama that shouldn't be there.
Ooh, that
Don't assume the worst. You always want to have that positivity.
yeah. Okay, I like that. Ooh, okay, that was some wise words. All right, so now I got the fifth agreement. So you can tell me how to split it up.
Split it up in four, make like four,
All right. All right, I got them in four.
and randomly pick from the first.
Okay, you got two, so you get a surprise card. All right, perfect. Okay, so the surprise card says heaven is all around. Heaven is a point of view, a state of mind. Heaven is where I feel a communion of love with everything in existence. So that was the first card. The second card says, excuse me, I love and respect myself. I see my authentic self and I love what I see. I see the magnificence of my presence. I see the perfection in me and this breaks any doubt that anyone else ever put in my head.
um, the first one with the having being you, yeah, because I got a similar mindset. I follow Mike Temple, mind, body, and soul. You
Mhm.
take care of that, and life will just start rolling according to your plan and your vision. And with heaven is, the concept of the pessimist, optimist guy is the same thing. You could see something bad, you can see something good just by changing your feelings. So the term heaven is you in control of your whole existence right now, just based on the thought and changing it, going
Yeah.
with. So I call that's one. And what was the other one? That was the
It says, I love and respect myself. I see my authentic self and I love what I see. I see the magnificence of my presence. I see the perfection in me, and this breaks any doubt that anyone else ever put in my head.
and I'll take that one too. It's the I am. The
Yeah.
me before the world told me who I was.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
love that.
and that's where I go back to. I say, you know what? Sometimes, things get power on us, and sometimes subconsciously we do things. We just instead of going outward and trying to find a solution, it sounds contradicting. You go inward because the solutions are within you. You have the key. It goes back
Yeah.
to being a temple.
Ooh, that's good. That's so good. That is so good. Ooh, thank you for sharing. Okay, so I picked my cards before we recorded. So the first one from the four agreements says, don't make assumptions. Be aware of unconscious assumptions. Assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way. We have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. I'm pretty sure I actually picked this card in a recent episode, and so I like to speak on the when he says it's not safe to ask questions. I think like so many of us grew up with like our parents telling us like don't question me, don't do this, don't do that. It's because I say so. And even in the workplace, when we think about the workplace, like you do this because I'm the director, you do this because I'm the supervisor, and we start to question ourselves about asking questions. But um I think it's okay to ask questions, especially if you're trying to avoid making an assumption. Um, the part where he says we have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want and how we feel. I think a lot of times we assume people want that. Like, for example, like as a woman, I might assume because you're a man and you want to date me, then you automatically know what it is that I like. but that man doesn't know what I like unless I tell him. So like honesty is the best policy and ask those questions. The second card says, don't take anything personally, embrace your freedom. And it says, you gain a huge amount of freedom when you take nothing personally. No spell can affect you regardless of how strong it may be. And if you live without fear, if you love, you will be happy with your life. You gain a huge amount of freedom when you take nothing personally. I'm learning not to take things personally. I think that's another like culture thing that you have to unlearn because like we are taught that like, oh, it is personal. But you know, like how people react to you isn't a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. And so that's just something that I've had to learn not to take personally. So that's something new in my life that I'm working on. And then the last one from the fifth agreement says, I don't believe anybody else's story. I know that whatever people say is nothing but a story that's distorted by their beliefs. I also know when their words come from truth, and I know because I can feel it. Woo, that's powerful. I know that whatever people say is I know that whatever people say is nothing but a story that's distorted by their beliefs. You know what? That's a hard truth because we forget that like everybody has different perceptions. And you know, they always say there's his, her, and the truth of the story, you know, or it's always three sides to the story. And I think like you know, in social work, our mental health training, we always use the example like two people can experience the exact same car accident and have two totally different experiences. And I think like this card is talking about that. Like we like anything that happens to us is literally our perception. And I think like that's just a hard truth to deal with. So, woo, that was good.
That
You
was
got any
deep.
last thoughts or anything?
Yeah, no, the last one, like you said, is like everybody is living, even though we here together, we all having our own experience because we all perceive things according to us.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for participating and sharing. I always do an icebreaker just to get people talking. And it's like, I don't like doing the traditional tell me about yourself. Like these cards get people talking about it. So thank you for participating. Now we will go ahead and jump into the topic. All right. Welcome to episode 106's topic of the day. Everyone has a love story. So before we hop into that, I want to talk to you about grief since Healing She Got Faith is an organization dedicated to grief. Grief and love is one. We at this organization we believe that grief is love. If you haven't yet, you should definitely read the book Grief is Love by what's her name? Renee Lee. Oh my gosh. Why am I butchering her name? Let me give me Marissa Renee Lee. Oh my gosh. And I've emailed her before. Like I've talked to her. I should know her name. Marissa Renee Lee. And she does a great job at explaining that grief is love. So before we start talking about everyone has a love story, I want to ask you, can you describe a time that you grieved and how you got through it? And I should have said this before. So the reason why it's called grief beyond death is because we believe that grief doesn't stop at death. Like we can grieve relationships, dreams, houses, transitions, divorce, like pets. There's so much more that we can grieve, and so that's why it's called grief beyond death. But can you think of a time that you grieved and made it through?
Yeah, we and I think last year, a good friend of mine just ran. It just happened all of a sudden. I was in the Dominican Republic, and I got the call,
Hmm.
and it was something that you would not realize. It just hits you, and then it just my body collapsed, and I was like, wow. That's a person you least suspect, and it's a person that you what I realized was it's not nothing disappears. Everything is energy. And I was saying this to I was talking to PJ. I said, what hurts more? It's not, nothing is truly gone. It's just that you want that physical connection. You want that time to just say hi. You want that time to hear the voice.
Hmm.
And that's why it gets taken apart. And that's something that caught me off guard because there was something that you would never really expect. And that's what happens too, is like when you have plans with a specific person, and it don't have to be a person, it can be anything, and it just gets taken away from you. that's where that grief gets even more like you're like, wow, because something that you could have experienced and it just got taken away.
Yeah.
The time, and it was like something that even to this day you just constantly battle. It never goes away. And it was
Yeah.
multiple times it happened. It always happens randomly because it's like a rug taken off your feet and there's nowhere to prepare for it.
Yeah.
Even when time comes, like it doesn't get better, you just get better at dealing with it or something. Like, it's like a cover up, but it's still there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think like in 2023 I grieved the dreams I had about my organization, and I grieved like my ideal thought about love, which essentially is where everyone has a love story came. Like you were in the trenches when we writing this book, and a lot of the stories, they're not necessarily even real, right? They're just like the perception that I had it, and the way I would have wanted it to happen, or the visions I had of it happening. So like even if people read this story and it's like, oh, I know who this is, you really don't know who it is, because there was so many situations that in my head I had made up they should have went a certain way, but they went a different way. Excuse me. So, and I think like this is a good segue into jumping into the topic. So thank you for sharing about your friend who passed away, because you're right. Like we miss the physical things. And I heard somebody once say that our human mind, it takes a while for our human mind to catch up with our spiritual mind. And so it's not necessarily a goodbye. And as somebody who has grieved a lot, and as somebody who has like watched death firsthand, sometimes it is really hard. Like you be like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I saw that. Like I can't believe I have to live with that for the rest of my life until it's my time to go. But also too, like grief is just such a hard topic. But one thing, the beauty about grief is that grief means that you loved. Grief means that you had love for something. Grief means that the reason why you are hurt is because you love. And to me, that's a beautiful sign of like in this human experience, I experience love. So imagine when it comes back again. Imagine when the right person comes around. Imagine when I'm in a room full of people who have never loved, and I've experienced love. You get that experience through love. So, um so segueing into the topic, everyone has a love story. Each and every person has a love story. And on this journey of love, I have realized that not only was I looking for a romantic love, but I was searching for love in all directions. So like from my family, from my friends, work, career, community, and just things I didn't even know I was searching for love with. Um I had to learn what love is. I read books like Attached, All About Love, Grief is Love, and How to Be Loved by Humble the Poet, which that was actually, I read How to Be Loved by Humble the Poet as I was finishing Everyone Has a Love Story, which I was like, I shouldn't have done this because the gears in my brain were going. Um, but with that, I feel like my thoughts on love have just always been non-traditional, but also my outlook on life has been different than what I was taught, which is something that has really been difficult as I'm growing up, as I'm healing, as I'm learning like what exactly it is, like finding myself basically. It's difficult to go against the grain because that's how I feel like I am. And then as you know, as I was writing the book, like one of the main topics in the book was like, I cannot figure out why I cannot find a man who actually likes me. Like I can't figure like what I'm doing wrong, right? And I just couldn't even figure out how to even get men to notice me. It's just always been a struggle, and I went back and forth with the idea of just being single forever and the idea of never having my person. Like I wanted love, but love didn't want me. It was my perception. And so, like on this journey, I just played back scenarios and situations and just honestly wrote them out, about how I wished I was, how I wish I would have reacted. I wish I had been smarter, whatever that means, right? And that's something that we talk about in the book, like how we just wish different things. And then coming to the conclusion that I had to love myself in multiple seasons and realize I did not know what I didn't know. So that's also a hard truth. And so, in Everyone Has a Story, we talk about five different loves, which is an eros love. Y'all know my accent. Eros love, which is a romantic or exotic love. We have storge love, which is the love of parents for children. We have philia love, which is love of companions and friends. And then we have agape love, which is God's love or the love of people. And then the last one is self love, which is your love for self. So in that, Anthony, talk to me about one hopping on this project with me because you've never wrote, edit, published anything, but
No.
hopping on this project with me and then talk to me about your idea of love and if you learned anything from this book.
So with me, when you first came up to me and told me about the idea of giving you a hand, at first, I was like, do I know? Then, you had told me you read a lot of books. I said, you know what? I could come in here with experience of what I read and just be like a guide and help you just refresh the memory, help you dig within yourself so you can get that information, So it was something new to me and it was something I'm grateful for. And, thank you very much for giving me that experience.
Yeah.
And with the love, it's when I was going for the chapter and you was explaining friendship, love, it reminded me of one of the books I read. It's like different forms of love. You got the motherly love, you got brotherly love, and I always knew it was different forms. But when you came up with those forms, I said, okay, you got friendship love,
Hmm.
and you said the parent love. So it's like what I learned too is like the different forms and how to this split them up and notice them. So I got a better insight. When you get these stories, I got a better insight on them, which it gave
Yeah.
me it opened my mind to newer ideas. And especially with the friendship love is why I say your five closest people, and then you have the God love. Is I could feel like it's even could go together with the love for yourself.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
it goes back with the temple. The temple. If you take care of your temple, then God will take care of you. That's like goes with taking care of yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, how has your view on love changed as you are older? Because you are now a married man, you now have a daughter, which I got to experience Anthony as a single bachelor man to it seemed like overnight you became a married man with a daughter, and not only one daughter, like you guys physically had a daughter together, but she also brings in another daughter, so you came into a relationship with two kids. And so tell me how your view on love is different from the view on love you have for today.
See, for me back in the beginning of it, it was like more competing. You have to live like your family's telling you got to get married at a certain time. Why you don't have a girlfriend? Why you're not doing this? The peers. So my view on love just went like that moment. I don't need to deal with that. I'm gonna focus on myself. I always told myself I was never gonna get married. I don't need to have kids
Mm-mm.
because love is just an illusion. And then going in there in the dating phase, I always have respect. Always show respect, always show love to anybody I dated and tell them what it was. I wasn't looking for a relationship.
Mhm.
But this particular time, I could say for sure when I met my wife Elizabeth, it was different. It's hard. I'm like, oh. It's so different that even my brother knows it and my god brother TJ knows this. Oh no, this is the way you act. They noticed me from a point. They been nah. They was joking with me. Oh no, you're gonna get married. You're gonna get married. And it's something to me. What I want to say, if I want to be all over the place, it's a knowing. It's like a feeling within yourself that it's when you just dating today and have fun, and then when you just meet somebody, it's like a connection. And from that connection, it's like I was seeing this. It was just getting closer and closer, and my view changed. That when you look at social media, they give you this different idea of what love is, and people tend to follow that, and they don't tend to go inward and get rid of the noise and focus what's in front of you, and you'd
Yep.
be surprised. Sometimes that's why people are not really finding love. They're not focused on in front. They focus in on probably like 20 people at the same time, and what that happens is I used to always say this: if I'm dating four people, right? If I was on a date dating 4 people, I'm only giving 25% of my time to that specific person. How can I expect to find, or I'm being disrespectful to that person? I'm only giving you 25% because
Wow.
I got 300 people there waiting to give my other 25%.
Yeah.
So when I gave that 100%, it was totally different night and day. I got rid of the noise, and I didn't care what people told me. You know, a lot of people told me, "Yo, be careful," you know, and I'm like, I gotta trust this because I
Yeah.
let the world guide me. That's where the smoky mirrors come in front of you. You get blinded.
Yeah.
It's
That's powerful. That's powerful. So going back to your example, if you date four people, you're only giving them 25%. So would you say dating multiple people at once, like you're against it, or would you like tell people to at least experience? Like, what's your thought process on it? Like, are you for it or are you not for it?
I'd say I'm in the beginning. Yeah, you're for it, but then you gotta come to a consideration where I got a little of a 50-50 because when you're doing that, when you're going, you're trying to find. So in the beginning for it, towards the end of, I say against it, like talking to my nephews or talking to people younger than me, I tell them the reason why. I said because when you do that, you're trying to find this person,
Yeah,
but yet you're only giving 25%. So when you find a so-called person, you only know 25% of them, and then when you live in life with them and growing, then you get reverted under 75%. You're like, oh, I don't like what's going on. But if you had gave you 100% and they give it to you because we mirror. Humans tend to mirror each other. So if I giving you 100, you tend to give me 100 because you feel that. Not
that's
most case, but because you feel it. It's genuine feeling that we have as humans, a human connection.
That's powerful. I think that's powerful to say. Like, and by no means, let me just say this: I am not an relationship expert guru. I'm not a love guru. Like, y'all probably do not want relationship advice from me. Okay, like you probably gonna end up single for the next 10 years if you take advice from me. But as a single woman, I think that's powerful because in the dating world today, there's so many expectations. Everybody's right, everybody's a guru, everybody's an expert. And the thing about it is, what I've learned in my journey is I really got to know myself and I really got to know what it is that I want. Like when I'm dating now, I'm from the first time that you asked me for my number, I'm giving you a list of things that I need to happen, such as like, hey, I'm not a phone person. So if you think that we about to be talking on the phone all the time, I'm not the girl for that. Hey, I need quality time. So what that means for me is like we need to go on dates. You're not coming to my house. We're not gonna be intimate. Like I need to see you in different environments. I also need to see you in different seasons. Quality time is a big thing, not just for my dating relationships, but for my friends too. Like if we only see each other once a year, that's not gonna work for me because I'm a quality time type of gal. So I need to have that quality time space. Like I am a person you need to make time and space for because that's how I function. I operate better in community. I also operate better with alone time. So like I have to have that balance of like I need you to know I get overstimulated really fast, but also too I need quality time. It can be really confusing if you haven't worked on yourself. Like you could be like, "Girl, you sound crazy." But if you've worked on yourself and you know yourself, then you know how you function. And so you're able to function with other people. And so for me, honesty is the best policy. Tell me what it is. If you just looking for somebody to have sex with, tell me on the first day. Don't wait to 3 months later and you like, oh, I just thought we were just having sex. If you are looking for a wife, let me know. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to be surprised. And like you said, what I find interesting in dating is that I no longer get attracted just by looks. Like if I look at a man and be like, "Oh, he cute," that's no longer enough for me. Like I need to see you in different environments. But as I'm dating, I see a lot of men who be like, "Oh, you cute. Ooh, I like your swag. Ooh, I like this. Ooh, I like this." And I'd be like, "But how? You don't know me." You don't know me, so how would you know? And then like when men ask me like, "What do you miss me? Do you like me?" I don't know because we ain't been on no dates. I don't, and that's so different because 19-year-old Lisa, oh, I would look at a fine man and be like, that is mine, honey. But 33-year-old Lisa, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's two completely different, what was it, ends of the spectrum. Like I can't do it. Cannot.
That's how it is. It's the life changed you for the better. You just got it. That's the different forms. It's the original, and now you got Lisa who have life and wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like my thoughts on love have definitely changed too. Like I used to believe that like, they teach you like relationships is 50-50, but recently I heard I think on TikTok or somewhere where a person said a relationship is not 50-50. A relationship is 100-100. And in that, like on days that you wake up, like there will be days where you can only give 10%. And if you gave 10%, you gave 100% that day, right? Relationships is that we are actively choosing to be in one another's life. Like I used to like want a man who was clingy. I used to want to be up under my man. As 33-year-old Lisa, I don't operate like that no more. Like I want to have my life. I want you to have your life, and together we choose to actively be in each other's lives. Like I no longer want to compromise my happiness for another human being. Like if I like to do yoga, but you don't like to do yoga, then we just don't do yoga together. If you like to go to football games and I don't like to do football games, we just don't do football together. But you know what I will do? I'll get you box seats with your best friends because I know that's what you like. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just look at love differently. Like I like to go to galas. If my man is like, hey, I'll go to a couple, but I'm not going to all them galas you be going to. Okay. Okay. If you want to go to the few, that's cool. Or if I ask you, like, hey, I need a date for this. Can you come? But you're right. Going to 20 galas a year probably isn't ideal, especially if that's not what you do, right? But that's just something that we probably just don't do together. And so, like, I think for me, that's different. Like, I want to support my man, but also too, like, I also get that I'm not gonna like all the activities that he likes and vice versa.
No, absolutely, I agree. And then you said one thing. It's like I go with the same thing. You always, even at your worst, you always give your best. And by giving your best in a relationship, you giving your absolute best. So that's like going with the 100.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like, and I'm sure you can attest to this, like, any transition in a relationship forces us to change. Like, for example, marriage, having kids, a job transfer, a move, any type of transition. If like I'm trying to think of an example. I wasn't in a relationship when my mom died, but I know if I was in a relationship, that would have been such a hardship because I know in my friendships we struggled. Like I have like just recently, so my mom died in 2018, but you knew that's your godmother. But
Yeah.
and recently I went with two of my best friends. We went to dinner and I told them, I was like, I've realized and I've realized how much grief brain has affected me. And I don't think people take me seriously when I tell them, like, I feel like I suffer from short term memory loss. It's not short term memory loss, but it's grief brain. And I don't think people take me serious when I tell them I struggle with grief brain. And that's a hard thing to deal with because why y'all not taking me serious? And that's hard on me. And so if I was in a romantic relationship at the time, that would be such a hardship because that man would have experienced me being different in the relationship.
And you know, and that's to back what you're saying. They say those are turning events.
Mhm.
The change of a job, a wife, a loss, a loss of a loved one. Those are events that you could either go two ways. You could propel up or you could propel down, depending how you go. And then that's also a testament to the relationship.
Yeah.
Because when you do have a loss, you have to be mindful of your partner.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you are going to be going through something, and then you have to come to the realization it's not all me. And you have
Yeah.
to feel like this person. My wife, when I was with her, she lost her father.
Oh yeah,
And
talk to us about that. What was that like? What was that transition?
so when we was together after like 2 years, when she got like when she was pregnant, she was going through her father was going to cancer. So that was an emotional roller coaster for her. Me being aware, it was difficult because most people who not aware, they be, oh no, she's acting different. She's not. So at 5 months, when my wife was pregnant with my daughter, she lost her father, and she lost her father in her arms. and her father told her, I'm gonna be before the a week before, so I'm gonna protect your daughter. But what's crazy, when he passed with his hand on her stomach. I knew, like off the back, I knew, I said, oh, it's a transfer of energy. I read a lot of spiritual books. It's like a spiritual, it's a transfer. I'm gonna protect her to spiritual. So in 5 months, she was about to give, Ava was coming down. So the doctor pushed her back up a week after to give birth. So she was going through all that. So she was going through the grieving. She was going through the labor, a difficult labor she had with my daughter. There was a lot of stuff that, was constant fighting, but I stepped here. I'm supporting her. And I told her, I said, the screaming, the yelling, you're grieving. And this is not gonna end in one day. This will be a lifetime, because that's something that's unexpected. You just lost, and the way it happened. So you have to be patient. And a lot of people go, oh, you know what, why my partner is being like this. We all go through things, but sometimes in that particular moment, we just get chosen. It could be you, God says, like you could be you have to just you have to step up and be the one, because you'll be like, what, if I'm gonna be like, oh, why not me, relationship could die. So
Yeah.
sometimes you got, so I see it like that. It's difficult, and I tell people, but you have to be mindful. You have to be mindful and be like, what, something is happening, and this person, my loved one, my partner, is blind.
Yeah.
So let me clear that. I did my best, every day to make sure she could actually see, because
Yeah. So did it affect? Okay, so I think you answered the question, because my question is, did it affect your marriage or your relationship with her? But like, at any given moment, did you feel like I can't handle this? Like, this is a lot, because you saw a shift in her, because she had just lost a big part. So with her, this is a unique situation, because she lost a big part of her life, right? But she was also bringing in a huge part, which again, going back to, sometimes our human bodies don't catch up to our spiritual bodies, right? And like you said, like granddad was, I'm gonna protect her, and stuff like that. So like, you saw a shift. So she was celebrating and grieving at the same time. At any given moment, did you feel like, I can't do this?
yeah, it was, what, it was it's the thought comes up, but like, this is getting like too out of hand. You know what? It's like too difficult. Why I'm going through all this? Because I was going through multiple things in that time. So I was like, yo, this is too much. And like the world's just closing in. So I'm like, yo, it's easier for me to just leave. And
Yeah.
that's the thought process. Easy for me to just leave, and I could just. But now I realize, I'm like, no, I sat by myself and
Yeah.
meditated, and then I kept telling myself, what's the positive of this relationship? What's the negative? What's causing this? Because during that whole time, I was emotional too, because
Yeah.
told me that my daughter cannot make it. They was playing games during the whole time. They asked, we got to transfer your daughter to a different hospital, and they said, oh no, we don't have no avenues to transfer her, so you just gotta wait. I'm like, so the whole, and they telling me that I can't lose my wife during. So it was like crazy. My mind was never in the right place, and during the whole time, I'm constantly getting from the people. It's a different culture. I'm
Yeah.
constantly getting like, we don't get emotional. You should be emotional. We don't do that. I'm like, wow. I said, that's how these people feel over here. So my
Yeah.
mind was different. But like I say, they affected me. I was able to overcome that. And
Yeah.
most people can't. And I don't judge nobody for that, because everybody has their own battles. And
Yeah.
sometimes battles are not always won.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think like what you said, is a key piece that I was trying to pull out of you, and I did it. I'm a good interviewer, but I was trying to prove that like, being in a relationship, and especially if it blossoms into marriage, is you choose. You did have the thought process of, I could leave. That would be the easy thing to do, but I chose my wife. I chose my family. I chose my daughter in that moment. One of the things as single people that we often forget, like, we want our spouse to just know, but it's an active decision, an active daily decision to choose your relationship. It's not something that's just going to happen just because you say so, but it's an active choice of, I am choosing this person. even if I don't like this person, like when you and Elizabeth end up being together for 45 years, I'm sure that at some point you guys are going to say, there was a time where I just did not like her, or she's going to say, I just did not like him, but I actively chose because this is the person that I'm choosing. And I think sometimes we want to bring in this magical Disney moment of like, oh, we just love each other. And I'm going to say this, love is not enough. Love is not enough to stay in a relationship. If love was enough, the world would look so different, but love is not enough. You have to heal, you have to know yourself, you have to make active decisions every day, and most importantly, you have to choose each other. You are not going to like each other you're not going to like your daughter every single day.
No. And to add to that too, it's like most people go in a relationship with broken churches. What I'm
Mhm.
trying to say about that, churches as in themselves, mind, body, and soul. So
Yeah,
they go into a relationship hoping that that relationship is going to fix their church without actually lifting a dime to try to fix it themselves. And
absolutely.
that's what happens is they expect that. And it goes into like to add to it goes every day it's like you re-falling in love or you building that intimacy. And it is work. It's marriage, relationship, anything takes work because time is money, time is work.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to put that in there
Yeah. Yeah.
and kind of build.
I think that's absolutely beautiful, and I love that you brought that up. I think that was such a great segue into everyone has a love story, because I think most of the time we talk about romantic and erotic love, and I definitely think that we, could definitely like talk about this more. Okay, pause in the podcast. Let me see something real quick. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. So I think like a lot of times we talk a lot about erotic love or romantic love. And I think like this is such a good segue because when I first started writing Everyone Has a Love Story, that's how I started off writing it. Like, and did I ever show you the original, like, first copy of Everyone Has a Love Story?
I don't think you showed me the original, but you did show me the beginning steps of it. Of how,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the very, very, very first draft was literally like a journal of like, I just went through every romantic relationship I ever had and almost just really just went off on people. Like I'm a good writer, but I did not like that style of writing. I was like, I sound like a bitter person. I'm too old to be acting like this. This is not who I am. This does not represent me. And then I made an active decision last year that I was going to take a break from reading self-help books and research books. I was going to start to read non no fiction love books because I was struggling with having love in my life and I needed that love fix. And so I made an active decision. So really what happened is I got so wrapped up in some of these characters that I developed my favorite authors and narrators and illustrators through a bunch of the audiobooks and books that I just had on hand. And I started to become these characters and I started to fall in love with love again, which helped me, even though these were fiction books, it helped me to go back to my writing and it helped me to figure out what it was that I was angry about. Because what it was is I wasn't angry, I was grieving. I was grieving the love I thought I was going to have. I was grieving the love that I was hoping for at this age. I was grieving the love of a man that just didn't love me. And I thought eventually he would. And I was grieving the love of the success of some relationships. And so I was able to go back and rewrote it. At this point, Everyone Has a Love Story has probably been rewritten about 5 times
Sure.
at this point. But I in that journey, I realized there were other sections of love. And one of the reasons why I could never discover love was because I wasn't just fiending or yearning for a romantic love. I was yearning for the parental love because as you know, both of my parents are deceased. I was yearning for a friendship love. I was yearning for a love from God. I wanted to experience this godly love. I was yearning for self-love. I had never actually been taught what self-love was. So I was yearning for all these different things And what I realized was younger Lisa was looking for a man to fulfill all of this, but that man will never be able to fulfill everything that I needed. It started within. Like you said, I had to take care of my mind, body, and soul. It was a holistic view. And through therapy and through grief work and through writing, I was able to slowly start figuring these things out. And so for me, I love that we started off talking about this type of love because that's exactly how everyone has a love story started off to be written.
Yep.
So So, so real quick, because we are coming to the closing of this episode,
Mm.
which this time went by fast. But real quick, tell me about the process of just writing. Um, Tell me about the process of just writing. What did I don't know, like, just give me your point of view of my writing, of my story, your view of everyone has a love story. Just kind of give me your feedback, your general thoughts, ideas, any of that.
So, like reading through it, first off, it's I felt the emotion that was put into it. So, like literally, like every chapter, I could feel it. I don't know, it's because I got a connection with you. Because, like reading it, what was weird. I remember I was telling the P. I said every time I'm reading it, I can hear your voice. I can hear it. Like I got really in tune, and I'm
Yeah.
like it was like chapter. Even in Parents Who Love, like it was like an emotional chapter because I got a connection with you. So
Yeah.
reading that, I was like, oh wow. My brother looks at me. What's wrong? Oh, dust. But it, cause you know why I like it. It's real. It was coming from here. Even the
Yeah.
words there. It was something hard to explain. Like when I'm trying to explain, like every word had its emotion, and even the events. Even though you say it wasn't real, the emotion that was put into it was definitely real. And
Yeah.
I don't even know it's because, like I say, because we have a connection, and it's because I could be like, oh no, I could feel this in this particular moment. You could feel like saying happen, and then you just saying it with your words. So that's very impactful. That's why when I was reading, I said, "Oh, this is really good. This is great." And I like the ideas. Even when you say even you had drafts, and you know how you said in the beginning, it was just nothing. Like you didn't like the way it came out.
Hmm.
That's part of the journey
Yeah.
because that led up to the book. That led up to everything, and that was able to make you to where you're at now, and where the process of the book.
Yeah.
And you could see it. I could see. I like reading the book. I could see it, but like you know what, a lot was put into it. It's like the carrying, the emotion.
It thank you for that. I really appreciate that. It was, even though I say it's a fiction book, the reality is this book is me. I'm Leah. The main character in the book is Leah. I'm Leah. That is who I am. And the emotions is what I was conveying in the book. Like there were situations that I took and I wanted to share about, but I didn't want to make it too obvious because again, there's a couple stories in the book that is actually one person in real life, but I split it up into three. Like they have three different character names because I just had a different visual. And then also too, in Everyone Has a Love Story, I'm actually speaking from future Lisa. And we don't know what future Lisa is thinking, but like in my head, that's my perception of this, like, and for me, it was really just about putting the emotions in it. Like even in the storage chapter, which is the chapter with parents from my letters. Like in my first book, Everyone Has a Love Story, I wrote letters to them. In this book, they're writing letters to me from the other side. And so like when I wrote that, that was emotional. That was emotional for me. And I was like, how did you even come up with that? But I guess that's the gift of writing, right? Once it flows, you just write it. But that was emotional for me. Like I wrote that and I was like, wow, I need to know what Anthony says about this.
I know, like writing that, like you could feel it, but like you know why it probably was tough, exciting, and you go through a lot of emotions into your body and going that. That's why it's like you went in here and here, you put them both, and
Yeah.
you made it. And you know what you said too when you said you was writing from future self.
Hmm.
That's a technique that most most books I read about manifest and vibrating on a frequency is a lot of people know how to do it. When you want to manifest something, it's not about thinking, oh, I want a car, I want to be rich. It's living from the point that you want to be. So what you just did, you became Lisa from the future. You became her emotion, your body her emotions, your body what she was seeing, your body what she was feeling. You was manifesting what you want to see yourself at, and that's the way you do it. You already see your world before you living in it, and that
That's
makes
a that's powerful. You've been dropping so many gems. Like you are a very powerful speaker. As somebody who reads a lot of you read a lot of self-help biographies, manifestation, research books. When you started reading this, how did you separate like what you read to like, okay, this is my god sister's book and I'm helping her edit it? How did you separate that?
so. What I do is like when I was reading, you automatic makes like books. Once you read it, it's there. You may not know it word for word. You just know the point of it.
Mhm.
It was like that's what things you were saying is like I could get like a connection, and I could be like, "This wait, this is similar to what I was." And this is probably things you never read, but you was just acting upon it. It's like even reading about successful people, the way they actually behave and how they come to make it sound successful is like I could see this, and I'm like, she may not have read it, so it's very intriguing to actually experience that, to
Yeah.
experience similarities, and you see in life, I said everything connects. I know
Mhm.
that right now, every single book I ever read, God says, I'm going to be like, oh, this is the same book.
Yeah. I
Even with the Bible, like the Bible was. I remember me and teacher was discussing this. The Bible was one of the big books. I was like, this is very powerful,
yeah.
very insightful.
Yeah. I feel like that with my fiction books. Like every book I read, I'm like, this is the same story, just different characters. It's the exact same story, same outcome, same ending. And even when I wrote Everyone Has a Love Story, I was like, this is really just like everyone has a story continued. Like and everyone has a story was a memoir. Like it was my life. I focused a lot on grief. And so like that was something that my publisher, my friend, Marvin, he also will be on the show to talk about the book. But when he broke it down, he was like, well, everyone has a story is about grief, whereas everyone has a love story is about love. And so Everyone Has a Story is real. It's a memoir. It's a book about my life. But Everyone Has a Love Story is a creative writing story. It's the creation. It's the ideal. It's the I really wanted to show my writing skills in this book. But also too, like I want to talk about love. Like love is such a big thing now, especially in 2023. We had the argument about can you go to Cheesecake Factory on your first date? Should a man always pay for it? We had so many arguments about love, and it's just like, yeah, we just gotta heal. Like we really just have to heal. Like a lot of this stuff that we're doing, we it don't even
You say all that. That was my problem too. When you go first into dating, there were so many rules.
yes.
Who pays for it first? What you gotta do? How do you approach the first kiss? And I told everybody, like I told my nephews all the time, but like, you know what? Do be you.
Hmm.
Be as genuine as you. I know this sounds so like, oh yeah, that's some bullshit. No, literally, like you become yourself, your original self. People sense that. They know you could go boo boo ba ba boo, and they'll be like, but if you literally mean that, they're gonna think that's just that's just what you just do. And during the
Yeah.
whole day, they're gonna be boo boo ba ba boo. They're gonna be like, yo, how you got that? How you was with that person? How you was able? I was myself.
Yeah.
I was literally generally myself. I wasn't trying to be a character. Most people, everybody does this. Jobs, dating, friendship, they feel they have to wear a mask specifically because that's what they think you want to see.
Yes. So I'm glad. I think we'll end on this because I think this is such a good point to end on. Um, in therapy recently, I talked about that. So I'm at a point where I'm showing up as my authentic self. Like in this book, I showed up as my authentic self at work, in professional settings. I'm at a point in my life where I am around quite a few millionaires and I'm showing up as me. I don't have them on today, but normally I have the long Cardi B nails. I got the big curly red hair. I got the crop. I mean, I do got a crop top on, but it's cold. So I got a tank top under it. I got the ripped jeans. Um, I listen to rap music. I cuss. I love a good cuss word. And I'm showing up as my authentic self. And I was in therapy yesterday and I said, I am comfortable with who I am. This is the first time in my life I'm confident, I'm comfortable, I know who I am, I'm showing up. I have no problem doing that. My issue comes in is when I show up as my authentic self and the people around me don't accept it. And so I asked my therapist, how do you balance that? Because I'm not asking, how do I control other people? I already know I can't control them. But I am asking, how do I balance that? Because, like you said, everybody puts on a facade. And I'm in an era, I'm not putting on a facade. I'm not putting on a mask. You're going to get what I give you. And that's where it's at. And if you don't like it, you don't have to. Be respectful. Let me know and we can go our separate ways. That's where I'm at with it. But it is extremely hard to deal with it. And so my therapist said, Lisa, you made a short term $100,000 investment in you. This is how you got to think about it. You put this $100,000 investment in you. And so during this short term investment, you have to invest in yourself because it costs a lot of money. So when she said that, I come from the nonprofit world. I also am a book writer. So I know how much it goes into writing a book. I'm going to start telling people that I am preparing for the Lisa Gala. And what I mean by that is every year nonprofits take a certain amount of time to focus on their gala because they spend all this time to focus on the gala because the gala is supposed to bring back a greater cause. So if I sacrifice 40 hours, theoretic, like 40 hours and $50,000, theoretically, it should bring back 4 hours with $100,000. And the therapist said exactly, you are in an era where you are investing in yourself and not too many people are understanding it unless they're in the industry. And so at this point, I'm preparing for that Lily Gala because I'm not showing up as anything else other than who I am. This is
Yep.
investment in myself. This is who I am. I'm not gonna put on a facade because for my whole life I've been trying to fit in. And the reality is I don't think any of us fit in, to be honest with you. I don't think the living experience, the healing experience, the spiritual experience is monolith. I don't think that. I think we all function at a different level. And I think that's the beautiful thing about life is that I don't have to be like you.
Yep. Exactly.
I don't have to be. So you saying that just brought me to that because I was like, okay. So yeah, do you have any last minute words or advice or encouragement to the listeners?
It go back what you're saying. What I tell to people who's growing up and stuff. I'm like, you know what? Don't compare. I said the only one you're gonna compare yourself to is look in the mirror and be like, I'm gonna be better than that guy or that girl, whoever you know. Just be better than the person you was yesterday, and
Yes.
it's your battle. It's your time. You know, people do different things. You know, if you let's say you want to start a business and you got your all your friends want to do the business too, but they happen to do it in a year, 2 years, and you still have it. Don't compare because it's not your time yet.
Yes.
Life is preparing you to open its best, beautiful business, and you'll be surprised when it happens.
Yes. I think you were speaking right to me because that's what I'm going through now. So I think that was a word right to me. God is like, let me sprinkle a little red dazzle right here because she needs to hear that. Well, God, brother, I definitely appreciate you being my first guest in literally years on the Healing She Got Faith talk show. You are welcome back anytime. Thank you for helping me edit and publish my book. You're definitely going to be on the roster as a employee. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Anytime, guys, sis. All love.
All love. All right, guys. This was episode 106. Everyone has a love story. But as always, we will end with right. And now we are in episode 106 affirmation, and we are ending this show on I am open and ready for true love. So from now until next Monday, I want you to say this to yourself. How do you feel about that affirmation, God brother?
I love it. It's true. It's love yourself. I'm open to true love, and that could be true love of yourself or true love.
That was deep. You've been dropping gems all episode. Yes. So I'm open and ready for true love, and that true love can be for yourself. It could be any love. If you want to learn more about love, go ahead and check out Everyone Has a Love Story, where we walk through 5 different sectors of love. So, as always, I love you, but love you the way you love the world. And I'll catch you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.